Hey, my name is Jonathan Hadel and I make music as Pink Buddha, and welcome to Force Fridays, where we talk about tips and tricks for how you can better use the Force. If you've missed the other ones in the series, click on this link up here to catch the rest of them, and subscribe button, that sort of thing, blah blah blah. Okay, today we're in the midst of a global pandemic. If you're watching this in the future, it's pretty messed up right now, and we're going to spend this quarantine time talking about knobs on the Force. So how about these knobs? I think they're amazing, and if you've missed my other videos where I compare it to the Push and to the MPC-1, you might not know how much I really care for these knobs. Anyways, I'm going to share with you today about the main ways that I like to use the knobs. There are 9 different views that you can actually pick between in terms of how you want these knobs to be arranged. I pretty much only use the screen, the track, and the project view. And those are the 3 parts that I'm going to show you today. Okay, the first one we're going to look at is the screen view. I tend to leave this one on most of the time because it adjusts to whatever screen you're looking on. So if you pop into the mixer, these knobs automatically change to that particular view. But I tend to find that the screen view works perfectly when I'm recording drum tracks because of the selection that's already there in front of me. You have a tempo knob, so you can make small adjustments to the tempo if necessary. I usually tend to use the tap tempo first because I want to adjust the tempo based upon feel, but then I do a fine adjustment with the knob. It allows you to make some adjustments to the timing correction, which is Akai's word for quantize, the swing button, the timing correction strength. This is the knob that I like the best because I like my beats to have a little bit more of a human feel to them, and so I never put the timing correction strength up all the way, but I might decide to adjust that based upon what I'm playing, and you have the volume and a couple sends that are already right there in front of you. All right, let's lay down a quick beat. I usually like my timing correction to be about 40, which gives me just enough to pull things a little tighter, but leaves that human feel to it. So then I'm going to go and edit this clip a little bit down just to 4 measures. Click here to pull it down to 4. And I think that when I hit those snare beats, I want those to be a little tighter. So I'm going to go to grid, hit the select tool, select those right there, and then I'm going to go to timing correction and increase the strength a little bit for these ones. Come over to the other snare hits as well and do the same thing, timing correction. It's on selected events, so it's only going to do the snare beats that I played. Now let's listen to that. And now that I'm on the screen view for the knobs, when I get to editing the clip, they automatically adjust to whatever's on the screen, and I can use them to zoom in and out, which is a really nice feature, or affect the loop length. I could have changed that right here, but what this does is it's a little harder to get it to be like right where I want it to be. So in that situation, I probably would just do it up there like I did before. And then let's say I want to go and adjust some of the effects on this track. I go to Mixer and Inserts on this track. I am going to turn off the maximizer. I don't always like using that one. Go in and use the compressor, and let's make some adjustments. And since we're on the screen view, these knobs automatically adjust to the compressor settings. This threshold is way too low. So to summarize, I just love how whatever screen you jump on, these knobs are already adjusting to it. All right, let's lay down a quick bass line. Now, if I'm editing a sound and one of the plugins on here, I might switch back and forth between the screen and the track. The track is nice if you need to leave and go on a different view, if you want to go to the mixer or a different clip. All these knobs still apply to the sound, and I can adjust the saturation, for example, or the oscillator levels. All right, let's get into this clip. See, this is where I should be switched back on the screen view. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit like this and adjust the loop length to being at 8 bars. Let's give that a listen. There was a little weird note in there I'm going to get rid of. This note was too long. Let's come and adjust this, edit the end of it, and I'll tighten it up a little bit. Okay, now that we have this track in here, the final way that the Force really shines with regard to the knobs is in the project view. And one of the greatest features about the project view is that you can customize it. You need to go to Menu and then press Knobs, and this is where you start to adjust what happens. Now, there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can use these knobs to adjust things on the master track, on the submixes for the return tracks, or the individual tracks in your piece. Usually, I have these knobs adjusting parameters on the effects, and particularly the effects on the master bus. So let's go put some of those on there. We're going to go to Menu and Mixer. I'll hit Master, and then we will put in some plugins. I might start with a parametric EQ, and I'm going to use these knobs to adjust the cutoff for a low pass filter and a high pass filter. So I'm going to come in here and put in the low cut frequency on this knob here, and then on this knob here, I'm going to do the high cut frequency. Let's go back to the mixer to take a look and see what this is doing. And if I go to high and low cut, now that you can see these knobs are affecting the upper and lower frequencies. I got to turn that one on. Let's play with this and see how it sounds. Okay, the other thing I tend to do is go back to the knobs and change the low cut frequency to be momentary, which means that when I turn the knob and I let go, it pops back into whatever place I left it. One thing you need to make sure is that when you push the momentary button, that's the lock point. So anywhere you turn it from there, when you let go, it pops back to that point. I want it to be all the way down, so I'm going to put the momentary on when it's completely turned down. Now, depending on the song, I might put any number of different things on the master track, but I'm oftentimes putting some sort of drive on there to give me a little bit of oomph to add at certain points. So I'm going to put some distortion on there. Okay, that's a little bit too intense, but this is where the knobs get to come in. So let's maybe say that I'll change this knob to the insert number 2, which is my drive, and I'm going to assign that to the drive, and then I'm also going to do my mix so that I can adjust it from there. So let's see how this sounds together. So something really subtle in there, probably not a lot of drive. I just like to give it a little bit and have some control over that. All right, I just threw in a maximizer at the end so that I can just have a little bit of compression on the whole track. All right, back to the project view. So I have my low cutoff, my high cutoff, a little bit of drive in there. Now I have 1 through 8 and then 9 through 16 in terms of the knobs to be able to adjust other parameters. I want to show you how you can choose the project knob to affect individual parameters on a track. Those individual parameters could be one of the effects. So if I went to the mixer to put something on there, doing off of our master track, and got into maybe this bass sound, and let's put a reverb on there. Maybe just a spring reverb. Okay, so the mix would be a great thing to add to the master track. So I'm going to come back to knobs and I'm going to touch on this one here. And let's change that to the track. I'm going to make sure I'm on the correct one, the bass sound. And I'm going to the first insert, which is our reverb. And I'm going to go to the mix. So let's hear how that sounds. Now this knob is going to affect the mix of that spring reverb. This might be a great one to do momentary on. Keep it kind of low, put the momentary on so I can pop it back. Probably a little extreme, but I'm just trying to give you an example. Then if I want to do a couple other parameters, like I would love to change the cutoff on the individual bass sound. This one is a little bit trickier. So let's touch on this knob right here, and I'm going to hit where it says learn. Then I need to go to my bass sound here and find the cutoff frequency. So I'm going to click on the cutoff and adjust this. This says down here, low pass filter, cutoff learning. It's just sitting there. I need to go back to the knobs and push the learn button again. And now it's affecting the cutoff filter of that particular sound in that track. So I have two cutoff filters on here. I have this one over here, which is on the master bus, and then I have this cutoff, which is just on the bass sound. Now, one thing that I wish the Force had the ability to do is put the tempo on one of these knobs, because I would love to reach up there and just do a subtle adjustment to the tempo. You can do an adjustment to the tempo while you're playing, but you have to hold the tap tempo button and then use this knob up here, and you can change it that way. Weirdly enough, when you do that, it appears here as a tempo, but as soon as I change this knob, it goes back to adjusting the lower frequency. So I don't know why it shows there for a momentary instance and then goes away. Now, another great way that you can use these knobs is to assign them to control external MIDI CC parameters. And I'm not going to get into that in today's video, because I'm going to make another whole video on using the Force to control external keyboards or synthesizers or modular gear. And if I've already created it, you can click on this link to watch that one. All right, that's all for today's video. If you personally have some ingenious ways that you use these knobs you want to share with the group, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. And think about liking this if you enjoy the Akai Force Friday series. If you want to stick around, I'm going to finish making some stuff on this track.